Paul's going to do his...
Hello, good evening and welcome once again to the Cat's Whiskers podcast on Monday the 21st of August 2017. Hopefully I've managed to iron out my technical issues, and we'd very much like you to get in touch with us very, very quickly to let us know if you can hear all the guys. So I will reintroduce everybody. So it's good evening to Paul Balm.
Hello.
Andy Haywood.
Good evening.
And Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Hey up.
Right, okay, so before we sort of launch into everything that you guys have said that nobody else but me has heard, we'll wait for somebody to give us the thumbs up that we can actually hear you guys. So, if you can just do sort of a testing kind of thing between you guys, or maybe you could sing a song. That would be quite nice.
Let's not get
everybody's gone to watch Game of Thrones now, aren't they? If they've not recorded the 2 a.m. one.
Yeah, the one that got hacked and leaked and such. Yes.
I can't believe they brought her back though. Can you?
No spoilers. No spoilers. Right, guys.
Like
yeah, we have some thumbs up. So, apologies to everybody that has put themselves through the first 10 minutes with just my dulcet tones to listen to. Hopefully now everybody can remember what they said and we can go again. So,
a good 10 minutes though.
I know. It was
the best
brilliant.
10 minutes I've ever done, I thought.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you need to do it all again.
Yeah, no chance.
Right, hopefully we can reach the heights that the last 10 minutes brought us. So anyway, yes, Saturday the Panthers took on the Krefeld Penguin of the DEL, and it was a 3-2 overtime win. Muller opening the scoring in the first period, nothing in the second. Lots of back and forward and great play. Mosey announcing his return with a short-handed goal, and Krefeld levelling things up. And I apologies to the Krefeld player, but his name looks far too exotic for me to pronounce. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I've already done enough embarrassing myself tonight. Sauvé levelling it up with just over a minute to go in the third period, and then that man Sauvé again coming up with the overtime winner. So what a game! What a game. It was supposed to be a friendly. It was anything but. So Paul, once again, put your 2 penny with him, please.
Well, what can I say that I haven't said already?
You can say it all again, and this time somebody might actually hear it.
What did I say? It was for a pre-season friendly, and let's not get too excited, but it was a pre-season game. I wouldn't call it a friendly. What a cracking game it was. I mean, even before Gagnon decided to take exception to what one of their players did to him, there was more excitement in that than there certainly was the week before. And after the games last season, frankly, the team, they fought for each other, they battled, the energy was there. Nielsen may be right. Looks like Mosey has got quicker, if that was possible. But I mean, you could argue, the lack of scoring could be an issue. But I said on the night that even before we scored, we deserved to score, and against a team in our league, we would have scored, 2, maybe 3 times. But I mean, for the middle of August, that were a cracker.
Absolutely. Andy, if you could please try and remember what you said, or if you've thought of anything better, then go for your life.
I thought we played really well. I think it's a good test, and I think we certainly overall, I felt we were the better team and deserved the win. So it is early. It is only pre-season and whatnot, but there's a lot of positives to be taken from that. And you've got to think as well with regarding Paul's point with the goals, and I agree to an extent that there was a lot of chances that you would like to think would be buried, particularly in our league, maybe. But you'd like to think that the more that these players play together, and the more that they gel, and the more that they get to know how each other plays and their tells and their signs and stuff like that, that they will start to go in. So it's promising. It's not it's not we're going to win the league territory or anything like that yet. It's still a long way to go, but currently at the moment the signs are looking pretty promising for this group of players.
And Ant, let's have it all again, please.
We're going to win the league.
Oh, no. Dear. Oh, dear.
Good.
Yeah, it was a cracking game, wasn't it? It was. I never go to pre-season games normally because, normally it's half a team and we're playing teams that we regularly see throughout the season. But, so I only really went along to see how we matched up against a team from the DEL, and I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting, okay game, maybe a few goals and what have you. But from the moment you walk in and you've got the nutters in block 2, I know there was a couple of numpties, but the vast majority, they were bouncing up and down, chanting, singing all day. That sort of brought the atmosphere, and that added to the game. And then, like Paul said, a minute in, we have the fight. That sort of sets the tone for the game. It was in no way a pre-season friendly. It was some right niggly, horrible stuff going on. It was great. It was a proper game of hockey.
Yes. I would pretty much agree. I mean, we sort of came out of that game and we're all just going, yeah, brilliant. Really, really positive. Really looking forward to the beginning of the season, I think. I mean, I wasn't at last weekend's game, so this is my first game of the season, pre-season season, whatever you sort of want to term it, and I felt really good about it. We've as he scored a goal, I've already mentioned Evan Mosey. He got the man of the match. We've already highlighted Sauvé. I mean, what an absolute ripper his first goal was. There's not many goalies that would have stopped that. It was an absolutely brilliant shot, and so we have already talked about him. So guys, other than that, who would you sort of put forward as catching your eye at the game on Saturday? Andy, I'll come to you.
Well, I really like the look of Schaller. I think he looks pretty good.
Paul?
That's not what he said before. Pellini. For me, I mean, there are a couple Saturday night that his dad would have put away, but to
be fair, on Saturday, Andy actually beat you to that joke.
I know. Your dad said it before then. But I thought the hit from Brisebois, or Briseblock as I've taken to calling him, sort of early in the first period where he floored one of the Krefeld players right in front of the penalty box. I think Gagnon was actually on his feet banging his stick on the glass.
Yes.
I thought I didn't notice it at the time, but I saw it from the highlights. I thought he had a good game as well. And people like I thought, again, Tetlow and Kelsall did well.
Cool. Ant, who would you like to pick out for a little bit of extra praise?
Well, I think we chatted after the game. I thought the mock was robbed of man of the match. Personally, I thought Mok Shantsev was excellent. But yeah, it was an overall great performance from everybody. The one thing I think that stood out to me more was you look at the imports that returned from last season and compared them to this one. Now, they were our standout players, arguably, last year. And Brown had a good game, and Lindard had a good game. But if they played like that last year, they would have stood out miles above the rest. Whereas this time, they kind of also runs when you look at all the other players. And you could talk about them all. I'm sure people that are listening have got their own views, and tell them to get in touch on Twitter. Is it at Cats Whiskers TV, I believe?
Well, that's just put you in line for hosting the next podcast. Yes, just before we do sort of move on to the next point, as Ant has brought it up, yes, if you would like to get in touch, and some people have, and some of you have actually let us know of the technical issues, so thank you very much to you. But if you do want to get in touch, it's at Cats Whiskers TV on Twitter. We do have other avenues that you can talk to us, but Twitter is the easiest to monitor while we're broadcasting, so that is the best way to get hold of us. So yeah, please do let us know your thoughts as well. Just sort of moving on to the next point. Paul's already mentioned it, but our new under-23 Brits seem to get plenty of ice time. I mean, let's not discount Ollie Bettridge in that as well. I mean, it's encouraging that they're getting time against a team. I mean, I know it's a pre-season game and it doesn't count towards any serious points, league points or anything. But the fact that they're getting out there and getting good minutes against a team of the calibre of Krefeld, it bodes well. Anybody sort of want to come in on any extra thoughts on that one?
Well, if you can't give them ice time in pre-season, when can you?
Indeed, but I think they all, as you said, Paul. I mean, they all did well. Nothing flashy. Just got out there and did their job. But I don't think Tetlow can get out there and not be noticed. To be perfectly honest. Anybody, Andy, anything to add on that?
No.
I think when doing the Panthers Hockey Live coverage, there was one shift where it was literally a Tetlow shot, and it was Kelsall that got the tip on it, and it forced a really good save, one of many from Engelage. It was nice to see. Good stuff. And Betteridge he was a beast.
I think he's really been working hard in the off season. So it's looking good. We've got reasons to be enthused about our Brit Pack, I think, again. I think that sort of wraps up the game itself. It would be remiss of us to not mention what sort of came to light following the game. We're all sort of, myself, Paul and Ant were all in the pub afterwards, and Andy sort of brought to our attention something which then kind of, following that, just spilled out all over Twitter. For those who are not aware, we are supposed to be rolling with 3 netminders this season. 2 of them are with us. There is Mike Garnett and Sam Gospel. Both have seen ice time over this weekend. There was supposed to be a 3rd netminder, Ukrainian Eduard Zakochenko. I would like to stress, before we go any further, that everything that we are about to say, we're not going to go into major details about it because I don't think there's an awful lot of solid information about this. But the Panthers have said that there are non-visa issues which are preventing him from arriving at the Nottingham Panthers. Newspaper reports that we have seen, some of you are likely to have seen them as well, indicate that he may or may not have been involved in match fixing. Or he may or may not have accepted a bribe to fix the result of a game in I believe it was the World Junior Championships. Again,
it was the World Championships.
The World Championships.
Yeah.
But yeah, they lots of speculation, lots of lots of rumour, and understandably, it's sort of flying around social media at the moment. So, anybody want to sort of come in to just mention anything about that? I mean, we obviously don't want to breeze over it, but also we really do not want undue speculation where there is no solid evidence to back it up, which we don't have at the moment, quite frankly. But we can't just ignore it, because this is potentially a player who is potentially coming to the Nottingham Panthers. Or
cause any issues that the club would decide to ignore us.
Well, anyway, yes, but anyway,
until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, go on, Paul. Yep, sorry.
You're entirely right. Innocent until proven guilty, and we can't really sort of, anything we say is speculation at this point. But if he is guilty, then I don't want him anywhere near this club.
Same. It might be good. It might be good enough for some elite league teams to have that sort of player in the team. But I'd be disappointed if we went away.
Yeah. If I was Corey Nielsen, I'd already be looking at the options.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the only thing
just in case.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say though is just on a sort of tangent, to take it off on a bit of a tangent. Personally, I'm happy with the options we already have. I think Sam Gospel is. I think he's a decent netminder. And I think he's worth. I think he's worth giving a proper go at. Definitely a proper go at being a proper elite league backup netminder. And he's probably he may even have the potential to be an elite league starting netminder, but we need to give him that opportunity. And I don't think 3 netminders will give him that. But that's just my 2 pence on the whole situation, I suppose. Anybody want to come into anything before we move on to Sunday's game? All right, okay. I'll take the dignified silence as a move on. We've had enough of Saturday, right? So
it's just that we can't hear you now. That's what it
is. You wish.
Yeah.
So Sunday, Panthers took on the Braehead clan. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was an Aladdin Cup game, which I think, as the Devils had duly dispatched the clan the previous night, was kind of. It was impossible for or had they already won it? I really haven't been paying attention to the Aladdin Cup. That's really remiss of me. But anyhow, we were playing the clan. Only one of the 4 of us on this podcast were at the game. So Andy Haywood, you have the floor.
What do you want to know?
Well, give us what you thought of the game overall. You can even compare it to the previous night if you wish.
It was a lot slower than the previous night. It was a game between a team that have got a limited amount of skaters and a team that had probably a pretty physical and grueling game the night before. We rested a few players ourselves. Clark didn't play. Spang came back into the lineup initially for Brisebois. Then Billingsley dropped out after warm-up. I don't know why or whatnot. Their goalie and Nie, I believe is called NIE. And,
Nye, I think it's pronounced Nye.
Nye and Michael Garnett will be hands down the 2 best puck handling goalies in the league this year. They were making tape to tape saucer passes the length of the ice. They really look like extra defensemen back there. We've already seen with Garnett a few times. I think we saw it a couple of times on Saturday where Sauvé actually passed the puck back to him. Because they're that comfortable with his puck handling and his passing, particularly on things like the power play, where a bit of pressure, send it back to Garnett because he can release the pressure and get it back down the ice. Both of them are phenomenally good with the puck on the stick. Nye made some fantastic saves and looks pretty solid, to be fair. And when they changed netminders, the same sort of pattern, emerged. Gospel and Russell were both fantastic. Russell made 1 or 2 absolutely phenomenal saves. He absolutely robbed, I think it was Schaller, with an incredible glove save. Absolutely fantastic going post to post and giving away no rebound as he caught it. And Gospel was really steady as well, and then obviously a couple of goals, and it was a decent game. Don't get me wrong, but it certainly wasn't as good as the night previous. But it was nice to see some of the team get a bit more of the action. I thought particularly, and I touched on it earlier with my mention of Schaller. I thought the Schaller, Farmer and Perlini line created havoc for most of the night. They really sort of created a lot of chances, and I think once they sort of, again, like I mentioned earlier, once they sort of get in the swing a bit more, play the game a lot more with each other, that sort of thing, I think you could find that there'll be plenty of goals from that line if they stick together. And Delago, he got man of the match and he was thoroughly deserving. I think he got 1 goal and 2 assists, and his goal that he scored was an absolute beauty. Crossbar and into the top corner over Russell's glove from a slot, and it was a really good game. Braehead, from a Braehead point of view, I don't think there's too much to be necessarily worried about, in the sense that they were missing a fair amount of imports themselves, and they looked like you'd expect. A few dangerous players going forward. I quite like the look of Burt on defence. I thought he looked quite good, and they've got a decent netminder, so they'll be good. But I certainly think that whether it be quality or just pure depth of the squads on Sunday, we were the better team overall. I think I mentioned in the first period on MP Hockey Live that I thought that Braehead had the better chances, but Panthers had by far the majority of the chances. And I think as the game went on, that was really the difference. I think we had over 40 shots on goals compared to, I think they had roughly 20-ish. I can't remember what the exact figures were. And realistically, if you're out shooting teams like that with the players that we've got, realistically you should win more games than you lose. So, I think all in all it was a pretty solid performance, but still plenty to work on. And obviously, Braehead look pretty strong in places. And like I say, I think they've got a decent netminder.
Right. So, Paul and Ant, have either of you watched the highlights, and do you have anything to add based on those at all?
Yeah, I watched them earlier. One thing I did pick out, there was a check early on, I think it was from Boussier, behind the Clan goal, and all the players sort of got involved, and especially Kelso, who got hold of Haywood, and I don't think Haywood was very happy that he was being held back, but Kelso stuck with it. It was really encouraging to see.
Ant, anything that you wanted to add to that?
Not really much more to say. I think Andy's covered it perfectly. And the highlights were... One thing I will say about the highlights, Dan Green is really impressing me as a commentator. And he seems to have found a bit more confidence from his early green room days. Just touching on our team overall from my first impressions, and I forgot to say it earlier, I've noticed what a big team we are as well. We've got a lot of big bodies in the team this year. Based on that, it looks good.
Cool, right. Just to sort of back up what you were saying earlier, Andy, about the netminders, Max Artist has been in touch, and he says he just wants to say, as I say, to back up your point, that both backups looked comfortable, and the D in front of them. So, you obviously weren't alone in your thinking there. Go on. Very
quickly, I thought obviously it was 2 games in 2 days at the NIC, but particularly as the game went on yesterday, the ice looked really poor. It was really quite slow, and the puck was really choppy. There was numerous occasions where players were skating with the puck, and then they'd sort of like leave the puck behind them because it would just almost stop dead. I don't know whether it's I don't know the science behind it, but I imagine 2 games in 2 days doesn't help. But hopefully, it's something that I like to think with Panthers teams and Nielsen's teams, that it's that sort of slick, quick passing sort of play that wins us games. So I'd like to think that hopefully it is just a case of sort of ice fatigue, maybe. But fingers crossed that when the season starts, that it's perhaps a little bit better.
Right. we will leave Sunday's game there. A few of you have been in touch today to give us your thoughts on the games this weekend. As Bates got in touch at As Bates on Twitter. He says the team looks superb. Phillips and Gagnon stood out for me. Our lack of shot conversion is a tad worrying, although it's still very early. I think one of you guys may have touched on that earlier on. I think with the Braehead game, the disparity between the shots was, maybe something of that could highlight that point, perhaps. But as says, it's still very early, so who knows? Maybe one shot in 10 is we've got potential to bring that down a little bit. But I mean, if we're getting the shots on goal, that's encouraging in itself for me. So Rob Scott has also been in touch. He says, was impressed with all of them, look fast, sharp and determined, pleasantly surprised by Tetlow's speed and play. My main thought was that last year's Panthers team would have hated to play against this year's. Anybody want to jump in with any thoughts on that?
Well, definitely, because this year's Panthers team has got what seems to be an incredible get up and go and determination, particularly on the forecheck. So I fully agree with that. That last year's team would have massively struggled against this year's. You think of some of the players we had last year. They didn't really want to be in their own defensive zone. And realistically, there'd have been times when they were absolutely hemmed in by this team because of their cycle game and because of their forecheck. So, yeah, I completely agree with that statement.
Okay, and Andy Gill has got in touch. He says Pellini very quick and took his goal well. Gagnon mobile for a big guy, and Delego just class. Bussieres does everything, and Sauvé obviously. You couldn't help but not notice him if he didn't score another goal in pre-season, or I think he would be remembered for that goal against Krefeld, his first goal. That was absolutely superb. Can't say enough good things about it. It's lovely that we have regular contributors. Max Artist has sent in a message again. He says, at the risk of sounding depressing, yes, we are creating chances, but not a host of goals. Good goalies or just a little rust? Anybody want to?
7 goals this weekend, didn't we?
It's yeah. I mean, one question. I mean, just to sort of maybe return to Rob Scott's point, would we have expected last season's team to score? I mean, did they score that many goals in pre-season? I can't remember being as excited about last year's pre-season, and I've only seen one game. That's just
I mean, especially obviously I can only talk about the Krefeld game, but I thought their netminder was superb. There was a save he made going across the net from Bettridge that was real top class. But I think, to be honest, trying to Max's question, I think it's maybe a bit of both. We were making the chances, and there were things as well where, give it a fortnight, a player will probably pass because he knows somebody's going to be there. Whereas now he was taking a shot that was maybe easier for the keeper to save. I don't know, but I think a bit of both.
Okay, so I think it's high time that we reveal the very first Cat's Whiskers Player of the Week. So, Paul, over to you.
Do I get a jingle?
I don't think
drum roll?
I don't know if I've got a drum roll. I can give you a gunshot. How's that?
Thanks.
Perfect for last year.
I can give you some applause after you've announced it. How's that?
Oh yeah, that'll do. That'll do.
I mean, you won't be able to hear it, but I promise you there will be applause.
In third place, see, I've prepared for this. If nobody else have. Third place was Evan Mosey. Second, Mathieu Gagnon. And I think we can all guess who was first. Jan Sauvé. So
there we go. We've got some applause
you are
going
our
on.
First player of the week.
You did get some applause there. You did get some applause. I promise.
Right.
If you listen back to it, you'll hear it. It's fine. Once again, thank you very much to everybody that got involved and voted for your Player of the Week. This will be a regular feature. So following the weekends, yes, well, exactly. Following the weekend's games, there will be a tweet posted up with the link. So don't worry, you don't have to go scrolling back to try and find it. There will be a tweet on the Cat's Whiskers Twitter. We will endeavour to also put it on the Facebook page as well. And post it in the all the groups that we happen to be a member of. So keep a lookout. Please keep voting.
Yeah, it'll usually be Sunday night, probably after the second game, somewhere around that, and then we'll run till about 8:00 on Monday.
Right. So. We will wrap up with the sort of any other business section. Jono has sent in a message. He is working away at the moment. And for those who aren't aware, Jono Bollard is now part of the Nottingham Lions media team. And he's just asked us to put a quick plug in and for the Lions, on behalf of the Lions. It says we are looking for match day volunteers for next season, including goal judges and penalty box attendants. Jono said if we message you while you're podcasting, that you'll put a request out for us, and we will duly comply with that request. So anybody interested, you will need to email nottinghamlions@hotmail.co.uk. So again, that's Nottingham Lions, all one word, @hotmail.co.uk. So if you are interested in getting involved in any kind of match day capacity for the Nottingham Lions, get in touch. If you are sort of struggling with any of that information that I've given you, I would fully expect you can get in touch with the Lions via their social media, and somebody will absolutely bite your hand off to help them out with their match day experience. So, get in touch if you are interested, boys and girls.
Potentially the opportunity to be first-hand to see some pretty big names as well. If you think that there's a lot of ex-EPL teams in there, so a lot of ex-EIHL players. So if you're into that sort of thing, be a good opportunity.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to share a penalty box with Jason Hewitt.
For that reason,
I'm joking.
That reason, Paul, I'm out.
He's really disappointed now.
Perhaps.
But seriously, if you can, if you are able to provide it, then then do. I'm sure it'd be a really sort of fulfilling experience.
Yep. Okay. So we'll just quickly mention some of the other results that were from the games that were played this weekend. The Devils were sort of playing our opposite fixtures, if you will. They played the Clan on Saturday and Krefeld on Sunday. They beat the Clan 5-0 on Saturday, and then also went on to beat Krefeld 6-2. Anybody reading anything into those results at all?
I don't think that Krefeld had the same goalie and as they played when they played us. But yeah, that scares me a little bit because I think I've said it a couple of times. Devils have taken last season's champions and upgraded quite in key areas. So I think they're the team to beat for me.
We just wore them out for them. That's all it was.
Yes, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And the other pre-season fixtures happening were the Steelers are playing the Nuremberg Ice Tigers. They lost on both occasions, 4-2 on Saturday and 4-3 on Sunday. And if anybody wants to check out the Ice Tigers Twitter account, there is a lovely little video of Matthew Waugh going for a triple Salco, I think, after being checked by one of the Ice Tigers. I think there'll be one or two Panthers fans will be having that on repeat for 5 minutes while they're drinking their cuppa.
I lost a lot of work time today to
that. Just one rather large piece of news, actually, in the sort of scale of things that you don't see coming, I suppose, in a certain to a certain extent. Neil Russell, GM of the Manchester Storm, has left or will be leaving the Manchester Storm to take up an opportunity with Manchester City Football Club.
I think you ought to let Ant comment on this.
Yeah, spot the red on the podcast. I think Neil Russell has done an awful lot in a short space of time, bringing the Manchester Storm back to the Elite League. It's very well documented and it's been very well talked about, the frenetic few weeks that they had in setting up the team and bringing them into the Elite League. And Russell and Omar Pasha have worked really hard on the team. They have very capable people around them who have made the Storm quite an attractive brand. And I think, in terms of the kind of ambassador that Neil Russell was for the Elite League, I think the Elite League's loss is Manchester City's gain. Anybody want to come in and add to that?
I just think it's amazing what people will do to avoid working with Ryan Finnerty. Now, but fair play to him. He's been offered this opportunity, and he deserves it, and he's rightfully taken it. So yeah.
Yeah, I wish him all the best, but not too much.
Well, yes, again, spot the red on the podcast. Right then, gentlemen, have we got anything else that we would like to discuss before we sign off?
Yeah. The thing you didn't add onto the agenda.
Oh, what didn't I add onto the agenda?
The slight matter of the fact that we're playing in Europe this week.
Are we? Oh,
yes.
Oh yeah. Again, can't you tell I haven't done this all summer? Right, yes, okay. Andy, you've been quiet for a bit.
Yeah, I'm still awake as well tonight.
Yeah, you're still awake. Well done.
That's only me you do that too.
Hurrah. Andy, CHL, we're away over in Switzerland and Czech Republic. How do you think we're going to fare?
Well, I think the obvious answer is that we'll probably lose both games. But I don't know. I was talking to someone at the weekend. It was yesterday's game, sorry. And we were sort of reminiscing about the previous night against Krefeld. I'm sort of thinking that, obviously we got the win against Hamburg in our first CHL sort of attempt. I know, obviously, that the Swiss league is a lot better, and I know, obviously, that the Finnish league is an awful lot better. But there's part of me that has seen this team, and I appreciate I've not seen the other three. But it wouldn't surprise me if we won more than one game. I still think one game will probably be our sort of would still be a great achievement. I think that's probably what we will end up with. I think we'll probably get one home win. If I had to nail it down, probably against Mountfield. But if we got two, I don't think I'd be overly shocked. I just think that we've got to treat it with respect. We've got to treat it as what it is, and that it is a tournament, and we want to win. But we've also got to be realistic with our expectations that we are playing, the upper echelons of European hockey, and we're not expected to do anything. But with that in mind, that sort of should allow us to sort of like free ourselves up a little bit and just sort of enjoy it. And I think, I think from a fan's perspective, and maybe from a higher up off ice perspective, it's a fantastic opportunity to watch great hockey. It's a fantastic opportunity to get some really good pre-season in. But I do genuinely think that for the players and for the coaching staff off ice, they will be going in with a game plan, trying to keep it close for as long as possible, and you never know what could happen. I've no doubt that was sort of the game plan that we would have gone gone into when we played Hamburg at home. Just try and keep it close, and we'll see what happens. And lo and behold, we managed to get a 3-1 win. And that was probably maybe last season topped it, but it was probably the worst season I've seen in a long time that year. And yet we still talk about how great that Hamburg game was. So I think these people, these guys have got a real good opportunity to perhaps go that one step further and perhaps aim for a second win, whether that be at home or away. But it's certainly going to be good fun. I think I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I think we've had a sort of an extra boost with Saturday's game. Just the way that the team have come out and played. Now we've got what is our full set of skaters. Ant, anything you want to bring in on that?
No, really excited. CHL, it's a fantastic tournament. And through that, we're on NHL. So I think there'll be a few extra copies of NHL 18 sold in the Cardiff and Nottingham areas this year. I think both the Legend and Bunkers are screening the game on Saturday. So, that's always good fun when people get together. I'm really intrigued to see how we stack up. I know, again, we talked about the Hamburg game. For me, that Hamburg game was fantastic, but it was closely followed by the very first game against the Finnish. Was it Turku?
Turku,
yeah. This time.
Luko, that was the one.
Luko.
And we were 2-0 down, and then when we pulled it back, when Stevie Lee scored them 2 goals to pull it back to 2-2, it was just fantastic. It was electric. The atmosphere just everybody went nuts. It was like, you know what, we're actually putting a decent show here. And I know we lost the game, was it 4-2 in the end? But it was a fantastic time. This time we've managed to avoid a Swedish team. Let's see what we can do. I just worry that Garnett might be a bit overworked. So good luck, Gospel.
Paul, any thoughts from yourself?
Not really anything to sort of add to either. I mean, I suppose the holy grail now is the away game. Every British team that's been in the CHL has won a home game now. So we were the first ones to win that. So maybe we could be the first ones to win an away game. Can't see it personally, but safe travels, and I hope you enjoyed it to all those who are going out there.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely wish. I absolutely wish I was flying out there, but yes, no, I'll have to wait for the home games. Which as a certain gem would say, good seats still available, I'm sure. Yes, so I think that's that, guys. I think that really is that. I don't think we discussed adding anything else to the agenda that I have made an absolute howler and missed.
What, you mean you don't want to talk about part 1 of Sheffield's playoff run programme that they've put out tonight? No?
And anyway, thanks for listening, everybody.
It does. I mean, 2 hours long. It does bring a whole new meaning to running time, doesn't it?
And on that bombshell,
I've been working on that one all week.
On that bombshell, I would like to say thank you very much to Andy Haywood.
Anytime.
Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
What? No mention of Panthers beer. Okay. Good night.
And Paul Balm.
Panthers beer or Panthers bear?
Beer, both actually. Yeah. Where was Panther Bear? And the Panthers beer is okay.
It's cheaper.
It'll do for hockey games.
Thank you and good night. Yes.
Thank you very much for sticking with us tonight. Thank you very much for listening. Please continue to keep interacting with us. Please continue to contribute to our Player of the Week vote, and we will start getting into the more regular podcasts when the regular season kicks off. I've been Tina Taylor. I've had a shocker. Good night.